Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. This is historic for us. We are in beautiful Newark, New Jersey, otherwise known as Brick City. We're at the Newark Museum. Talk about a historic place. One-on-one from the Newark Museum, and it would not have been possible without the gentleman you're about to see on camera. He is Steven Kern, Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Newark Museum. And Steven, I want to thank you for allowing us to be in your home. It's a special place.
It's a special place. Welcome to the museum today.
Thank you. 1909.
1909. This is a really great story that we have here at the museum. What we like to say is the modern museum was invented in Newark in 1909, and everything that was planned here for this new model of museum became the national standard, in fact, the international standard by the 1970s.
And John Cotton Dana, who we're actually going to see on camera, John Cotton Dana was the gentleman who was the key behind this?
He was. You know, he was an interesting guy. He started off as a librarian, and he did things like open stacks and children's reading rooms, and it's all about accessibility and relevance. And when he came to Newark in 1902, he, of course, set up a children's reading room, opened up the stacks, and also set up a business library. He also took care of two galleries on the fourth floor of the library, one for art and one for science.
So hold on. Excuse me, Stephen, the museum was at the library?
Started off at the library. The city leadership back in the late 19th century thought and believed firmly that a great city needs to have a great museum. So when they built the library, which was of course built before the museum, they included rooms so we could get going here in Newark with art and science as a means of engaging the community. And then John Cotton Dana came in, this great pioneer in education, libraries and museums, and he got the whole show going. And between 1902 and 1909, there were 57 exhibitions just in that one span. So he really hit the ground running when he got here from Springfield, Massachusetts.
You know, fast forward all the way up into today. I mean, the whole series that we're doing here. What's so exciting is our executive producer, Jen Eichlin, and the team here have put together a series of extraordinary interviews with really impressive artists, people who are involved in the arts in so many ways. This museum displays the work of all kinds of very creative people, and it's open to whom for what?
You know, and it's open to everybody. Our greatest partner since 1909 has been the city of Newark. And school kids and workers in the factories, the whole idea of being accessible and relevant. Those are terms we use now.
Accessible and relevant, you just said that before. What does that mean?
That means the doors are open to everybody, and it means once you come in, you see something that is familiar and something that is meaningful in your life. And so when this museum opened up as a building in the middle of the city, not in a temple off in a park somewhere, but in a building that looks like an office building or an apartment store, something that's comfortable and inviting for you to come into. Once you get in, you see work, you see exhibitions, you go to programs that mean something to you.
Talk about accessible.
Look at that. Look at that. One of the great things about this museum, 1909, was get the school kids in here. Engage.
Get the kids in.
Get the kids in. Get the workers in. Get everybody in. And so, yeah, we were the first museum to codify arts education in a museum setting. And what happened in 1909, or in this case with the opening of the building in 1926, when we finally moved out of the fourth floor of the library.
Tell people where we are right now.
This is 49 Washington Street in downtown Newark, right on Washington Park. And these are kids lining up on the stairs, going into that beautiful Washington Street entrance, which is going to be reopening this year. So,
changing the lives for so many kids, seeing things they would never otherwise have seen.
It's all about transformative experience. And so if you think back in the 1920s, 20,000 kids were coming to the museum every year. That was a huge number. Now we're up around 100,000 coming for programs here at the museum.
What are they going to say? What are they going to see today? What are we going to see in this series one-on-one at the Newark Museum?
Well, what they see is American art, because John Cotton Dana had a healthy skepticism about European painting. He thought that we should be a museum of our time and of our place, again, relevant. And he thought that American art should be what we're collecting and programming because it's what we're about. And so that's why we've got one of the greatest collections in the United States of American painting. He also believed that aesthetic was everywhere. And so he was collecting globally by the 19-teens. Our African collection, for example, goes back 100 years. The Tibetan collection began in 1911. This is really pioneering, visionary stuff. So to see those kids lined up at the main entrance looks normal to us today. But in 1909, that was a whole new idea in the world of museums, because this was the first museum in the United States that said, it's for everybody. Everybody's not just welcome, everybody's invited.
How about the idea of displaying, showing the work of artists in this community?
Well, again, Dana, going back to the beginning, believed you have to support the arts in your own community. And again, we don't think of ourselves in the sort of the microcosm of Newark. It's more the macro of the great American metropolis that we're a part of. And so artwork was being acquired and it was being shown by artists from down the street to artists from across the river to artists from across the country.
That's why the Newark Museum has an international reputation.
That's right. We're one of the biggest museums in North America. We have to remember that. And the global asset that is provided by the collections is truly, it's truly unique in American museums. The diversity here is exceptional. While there might be collections of African and European and American and Dec arts, it really achieves a whole different effect here because we've been collecting for over 100 years.
Before I let you go, the invitation you want to give to folks watching on public broadcasting, FiOS, listening on radio, seeing you digitally as well on our other platforms, what's the invitation you want to give folks about the Newark Museum?
Is just as we were determined to be relevant and accessible back in 1909, there is something that will interest you here, regardless who you are, where you're from, how educated you are, how wealthy you are. Whatever your interests are. This is an amazing institution. It really is one of the most important in North America. And those reminders, I think, signal us in the state of New Jersey that we've got this amazing asset. In the city of Newark, the great city of Newark, we've got this great institution. American museums would not be what they are now without the leadership of the Newark Museum back in 1909. The modern American Museum was invented here. And by virtue of that, based on connectivity, there's a lot to see and do here in the museum.
By the way, the Newark Museum, like our not-for-profit and like public broadcasting, we work at fundraising all the time.
That's it.
By the way, greatest leadership lesson you've learned so far in your work is?
Listen to other people.
Really?
Yeah. Doesn't mean they're always right, but you listen. No, listen to other people. Yeah.
Well said. Listen, Steven Kern, Director and Chief Executive Officer of this extraordinary institution, the Newark Museum, started in 1909. I want to thank you for allowing us to be in your home, the Newark Museum, the home of so many people in the city of Newark that matters so much. Hopefully it won't be the last time. Thank you, Steven.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back from this very special place.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. And by the Newark Museum, in cooperation with NJTV. N13 for WNET. Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at Newark Museum has been provided by Bank of America, PSE&G, Cone Resnick, University Hospital, Newark, New Jersey, Johnson & Johnson, Prudential Financial's Global Communications Department, and by the North Ward Center. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.